What's up, guys? Just wanted to do a super quick video about the Fuji XF10. I just got it, and as soon as I got it, I played with it for about a week before I even went out the house for about a week. And then my wife and I went um, on vacation, and I took this camera along with the XS10, right? Don't be confused. XS10, the interchangeable lens body with the nice grip. And I took the XF10 with me. So those are my two cameras on vacation. And wanted to talk about the use case, how I feel about it, and all that good stuff. So welcome back. If this is the first time you're watching, my name is Jason. I am a photographer and enthusiast, and I just love talking cameras. So this is my vlog to just talk about cameras and rant about photography and topics related to that. So if you're new, consider subscribing and leave a comment. Let me know what you think. So keeping it very simple, no fluff, no extra, just straight talk. So the Fuji XF10. I am a point and shoot type of guy. I have other Fuji cameras, but I love point and shoots. And the XF10 is an intriguing one for me because this was my first, actually my second. I had the X70 in the past, but I had an issue with the screen and then sold it and all that. So I have a affinity for the APS-C fixed lens. This is my second one. And before buying it, everything was about the autofocus being an issue and all that stuff. And I could agree. But in my use case for a whole week, really forced myself to use it because between that and the XS10, this was all I had to use. So I really got to know it. And I must say that as bad as the autofocus is, I like the camera because it forced you to slow down and really get the shot. And there's a lot of little things that I like about it, even better than the X70 in terms of just actual usage. Because sometimes what's on paper and what's actually in use can be very different, can have a very different outcome. What I like about it, the PASM dial is actually more useful because you can get to those modes faster. Because it's small, you're really going to be in situations where you're in tight because of the wide angle lens, usually in the size, you're going to usually be in situations where you're in with people. So you need to just be able to do something very quick and get it down. And I think that's where, this comes into play. Also like that it does have enough dials and customization that you can set it up how you want to, because it has these two dials, I can set it, control pretty much anything I want. And then it has a customizable button on the back. And then you have swipe motion. So lots of good features. So, yeah. All right. So let's continue. I want to talk about how I set up the camera. So for the most part, I was using aperture priority, shutter priority. I didn't really use manual mode because I was, with my wife and we're on vacation. So it's more about catching candid shots, travel, kind of in and out, situations. So no time to really think too much except about whether I want my aperture to be prioritized or my shutter, to freeze motion, things like that. So I did occasionally use program mode when I just really wanted to be lazy because at the end of the day, this was a test to see the effectiveness, and then I would just set my ISO to a certain number so I wouldn't go past that, and just let the camera take care of the rest because I wanted a certain clean image in terms of the ISO value, and didn't really know what the situation was going to call for, and I just wanted to just snap, but I didn't want to be in like SR plus where it just kind of did everything for me. So that's how I set it up. That's how I use it. So with the function on top, I set that to be my flash. Because one thing about this versus other cameras, because I have other, I have the X30, the G7X Mark II, the XQ1. They all have a button to pop up the flash, but this doesn't. So in order to turn the flash on, you have to actually have some sort of way to control it. So I set the function button on the top to be able to just toggle from that. So it's pretty good because what happens is when you press it, the first option is off, which is down. And if you use the joystick and just go one click down, that will turn it on for the, semi-automatic modes. So you really just got one quick toggle and then you're there. So that's not a big deal. When you're in program or SR Plus, which is automatic modes, you have an automatic flash. So you have two steps now. So you got the off, which is the default. Then you have automatic and then fully on for the flash. So that's something you got to keep in mind when you're in those two modes. Is just, clicking down twice. So that's that. I got notes here, so that's why I got a pen. So I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. So swipe motions. This has a touch screen, and you can set swipe motions to have, the up, down, just like a D-pad. You would have those options actually on the screen and swipe. I'm used to that with the XS10, but just like the XS10, I don't like it. I don't use it much because I find that touch screens in general, to me, for cameras, I don't look for it. I actually like the fact that Fuji has a little tab on the screen to turn the touchscreen off. So I generally turn it off because if I'm doing candid shooting, a lot of times I have a strap. I'm in the midst of my family, and when the touchscreen touches up against my body, it starts doing things. It moves the focus point. It moves, the swipe motions start going off. And to me, that's a problem. I don't like that. So for cameras, I generally turn touchscreens off. I don't like it. The reason why I'm using a camera is because I want the tactile feel of buttons and dials. I want that control in that way. So it's more responsive and there's some resistance to change. So that's how I want it to be. If I want a touchscreen, I'll just use my phone. That's the whole reason why I don't use my phone for photography, because I don't like the touchscreen experience and the lack of control with dials and buttons. So I turned it off. I think at some situations they can be useful when you just need that one or two extra points of control on the camera, so then you could have it there, but it's just not responsive. It works better on the XS10. I think they perfected it in terms of the effectiveness of the screen, but on here it's a little slow, a little clunky. So I find that I just don't bother with it. I actually set up any functions that I want to be in the Q menu, and that's the beauty of it. You can customize your Q menu. So I customize everything to be in the Q menu so I can adjust it just with one click of a button, go in, toggle where I want, change it, get back to the shooting. So I really like that layout. So what else? Digital, this ring around the lens for in manual, when you're doing manually focusing, obviously it's a manual focus ring, but in any other mode is set to be whatever you want, and default would be standard. So if you're in aperture priority, you can either control the aperture with the front dial or this dial here, right? So that would be that. Or you could set it to do something else. So I set this to do the digital teleconverter. So by default, this 18.5 millimeter lens translates to 28 millimeter, but with the digital teleconverter, with this set here, I can change it to 35 and 50. So I set it up to do that, but that only works in JPEGs. So you'd have to be in JPEG only in order for that to work. So no raw shooting in that case. So I don't mind that because for this type of camera, there's enough megapixels that once you get down to that digital teleconverter, there's still enough resolution and file size if you just use JPEGs that it's not a problem. because a lot of what I might end up doing with these files is, you know, something serious, possibly, right? Maybe some stock work, stock photography. I might submit it to an agency, you know, and so I still want to have a certain resolution and megabytes in order to be able to submit it. Most stock agencies minimum have to be 4 MB. So, you know, once you start doing the digital teleconverting and all that, you still want to have enough. So because it's 24 megapixels, you have enough resolution to still get the file size versus say using another smaller sensor camera. If that was the case and the megapixel count, then that would make it probably too small. Then you're trying to up-res it and that becomes an issue. So, but this works. But I still like shooting raw, you know, most of the time. But there could be times where I just need that little extra reach to get the scene, because 28 is pretty wide. But sometimes I need to, you know, I can't move myself, but I want to get in, and not having to zoom. The digital teleconverter kind of acts as a zoom, you know, in a way. So it kind of helps you out there. So other than that, that's how I set it up. But what another important thing I don't think people mention is that it does not have 2 lugs for a neck strap. So you only have one entry point for a neck strap on the right side of the camera by the grip. So what I did is I found this Landred style neck strap by Ringkey. So I don't know if you can see that, but I'll put a link or mention it in the comments or the description of this. But it's a Lanyard style neck strap. So and it's actually a system. So I have these in a different form. So I have a neck strap. Let me show you actually. So here's my X30, which has the traditional neck strap with 2 lugs on each side. And these have detachable connection points, kind of like a Peak Design, but a very small. These are smaller though. That's the thing. These are made for smaller cameras and, you know, smartphones and all that non-traditional camera things. But it works for cameras because it's a little smaller strap. It's a nylon strap that can kind of ball up nicely. It's not too big and bulky for these camera sizes. So with these kind of cameras, you don't want them to be massive. So I got this system here where you got the traditional neck strap on both sides. And then I also got this neck strap style. So it allows the camera like this that doesn't have both sides to still be around your neck and be useful. So, and it's adjustable. We got adjustable straps and all that. And then one more thing, right there, I got another camera, my G7X, my Canon G7X Mark II. You have a wrist strap. So yeah, so it's a nice little system, very inexpensive on Amazon. Check them out. Ringke, Ringkey, right? So you got a wrist strap that's detachable. You know, these come off just like all the other ones do. So you can interchange all of these and use them how you want. So very cool stuff. So just a quick overview of the XF10. Stay tuned for photos, and I'll share those hopefully soon, or maybe next. Check it out. I'll see you in the next one.